on the shore of Lake Matano, where sky and water seemed to melt into one another at dusk, there stood a village called Wanwai. Its elders believed the world was built in 3 layers: Poteng Langit above, where the gods dwelt; Alekawak, the earth where people lived and planted; and Pratiwi, the kingdom beneath the water, ruled by Sangguru, keeper of balance from the depths. Long ago, Wanwai's rice fields stayed green all year, fed by a sacred spring flowing from the mountain's foot, a hidden thread connecting the earth to Pratiwi. That spring was guarded by Naga Todang Toja, an ancient dragon spirit sent by Sangguru, and generations of Wanwai had honored him with a yearly rite called Mapalili, sung at the start of every planting season. The last person in the village who still knew the Mapalili song by heart was an old woman named Puang Intan. And the only one she was teaching it to was her granddaughter, a girl named Tenri. Tenri had her grandmother's voice. It's clear, low, and steady, the kind that made chickens stop scratching in the yard to listen. But she did not yet have her grandmother's memory. Half the verses still slipped from her like water through open fingers. Sing it again from the beginning, Puang Intan would say. Not with your mouth, child, but with your chest. Tenri's father, Daengkala, had no patience for any of it. He had lost his own father in a flood that came the same season the village had failed to perform Mapalili properly. And he had decided that old songs could not hold back water any better than they could bring it. Rituals don't feed a family, he told Tenri more than once. But work definitely does. Then Puang Intan died in the dry season before she could finish teaching the song. And the rains did not come. 7 seasons passed without rain. The earth split like old skin. The rice that once swayed gold now withered before it could fill a single grain. Neighbors who had shared meals for years now stood in their doorways, trading blame. Some said the dragon was angry. Some said the goddess had forgotten Wanwai. And a few said it was the family that had let less singer die without an heir. Tenri heard that last one. She said nothing. But that night, she took her grandmother's old sarong, wrapped it around her shoulders, and walked to the shrine at the edge of the rice field, the place where Mapalili always used to begin. Angin mamiriku pasan, pitujui tong-tongana, tu sarwa takkan lupa, eaule nama ngurangi, tu sarwa. Tusarawa Pantanaya. Stop dong.
Iya, nanti kan sambil direkam toh. 3, 2.
Animamiriku pasang, pitujui tong-tongana, tu sarawa takkan lupa, eyaule nama ngurangi, tutenaya parisina. nothing happened. The verses she remembered ran out halfway through, and she stood in the dark, ashamed of her own silence. Then a second voice picked up where hers had failed. Its warm, patient, weaving through the gap in her memory like it had always belonged there. Tenri turned and saw a woman standing among the dead rice stalks, dressed in gold that moved like ripening grain. It was Sangyang Seri, the rice goddess of the Bugis lands, daughter of Batara Guru, come down not with thunder, but with song, as she always had. You don't need every word your grandmother knew, Sangyang Seri said. You need to mean the ones you have. So together, they walked toward the cave at the mountain's foot, where Naga Todang Toja had shut himself away. Sangyang Seri explained what Tenri had known. The spring had not simply dried from neglect. Years earlier, in a season of hunger, a Wanwai fisherman, Tenri's own great-grandfather, had broken the oldest law of the spring and fished inside the sacred pool when the rice had been skipped for convenience. The dragon had forgiven the village once already. What he could not survive a second time was being forgotten entirely, as if the promise between his people and hers had never mattered at all. Tenri felt the shame of it settle into her like a stone. This was not only the village failure, it was her family's. At the mouth of the cave, Sangyang Seri did not go first. This part is yours, she said gently. Ku lihat ibu pertiwi sedang bersusah hati. Air matanya berlinang, mas intannya terkenang. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, from the dark, two eyes opened like slow gold lanterns. Naga Todang Toja emerged, his long body dulled with sorrow, scales dry as drought itself. Little daughter of the one who broke the water, he said. His voice is like a wave breaking somewhere far off. Why should I trust a promise sung by a girl who does not even know the whole song? Tenri's voice shook, but she didn't look away. Because I'm not asking you to trust the song. I'm asking you to trust that I came anyway, knowing what my family did and knowing I might fail. Because Wanwai is starving and I couldn't stay home and do nothing. She swallowed. My grandmother used to say a promise isn't kept by never breaking it. It's kept by keep coming back after it breaks. The dragon studied her for a long time. Then come back every year, he finally said. Not with a perfect song, but with a true one. So that night, water began threading down from the cave, soaking into the roots of the dying rice. But Sangyang Seri reminded the village that water alone would not undo years of neglect. So Wanwai did something it hadn't done in a long time. It worked together. Elders and children cleared branches from the streams, replanted trees along the bare hillside, and rebuilt the channels that carried water to every field. Dairala, who had mocked the old rides for years, found himself standing calf-deep in mud beside his daughter, repairing the very irrigation gate his grandfather's broken promise had once poisoned. He didn't say much. He didn't have to. He simply kept working and kept coming back the next day and the day after that. By harvest time, the fields gave more than Wanuai had ever seen in a generation, enough that every household had rice to share. Word of it traveled, and travelers arrived from every direction. Makassarese guests brought their kesok-kesok fiddles. Mandari sailors brought the chanting songs of their sun-decked boats, and Torajan Highlanders came down with bamboo pakpompang orchestras. They gathered at the edge of the fields where the harvest feast was held. Sangyang Seri asked Tenri to lead the closing song, the harvest song, sung over the rhythm of lasung and alu, the pounding of rice mortars in the old Mapa Dendampi that had called every generation of Wanuai to gratitude. Kulihat ibu pertiwi, kami datang berbakti. Lihatlah putra-putrimu menggembirakan Ibu kami tetap cinta putramu yang setia, menjaga harta pusaka untuk nusa dan bangsa. Daeng Rala, standing at the edge of the crowd, sang the last line too, out loud, for the first time in his daughter's life. So from that year on, Tenri became Wanuai's new singer of Mapalili, and the song she taught the next generation was not a copy of her grandmother's. It was her own, built from what she would learn in the dark outside a dragon's cave. That memory kept by rote fades, but memory kept by return, by work, and by an honest voice never